What up, what up? Welcome to Strangle School. I'm Josh Moody. Today I got my friend Rudy, and we're going to be talking about some guard passing. Specifically, we're going to be talking about butterfly guard passing. But before we do, please make sure you click the subscription box. Is it in that corner? It's probably in that corner. Please click subscribe. Check the link below. Click on Patreon. For a small subscription every month, you can get access to our bonus content. Back to guard passing. Today we're going to be talking about two different methodologies for trapping your opponent's feet when they go to initiate a butterfly guard. And then how are we going to go about dominating the position and passing their guard. Check it out. One of the first things that I need to understand is that butterfly guard is about all guards, but all guards are about controlling the inside space. So right now, Rudy's 2 feet are controlling the inside space of my legs. If I were to let him get double underhooks on me, he'd be controlling all of my inside space. His head is controlling inside space. His arms are controlling inside space. All of this is bad for me. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I start to control that inside space faster than he does. One of the first things that he had to do is he had to bring his head below my head. I ain't letting that shit happen. My head's going to go below his head. Instead of letting his arms get under my arms and go for underhooks, I like to bring my elbows tight, and I like to start to sneak my hands under his armpits. But I don't want to stay back here and just like overextend them. So what I like to do is I like to put one hand on his floating rib and one hand on his knee, and that gives me like a little staging area until I can get further forward and my shoulder can get closer to his chest. So my head will get to his chest, and now I'll start bringing that second arm inside. And I'm going to look to lock my hands, okay? S grip if you can do it, gable grip is better, butterfly grip is awesome too. I am going to pull Rudy's hips towards me as I drive my head forward and drive his heels to his butt. I pull his hips towards me, I drive my head forwards, and I drive his heels up to his butt. So what's going to happen now is it's going to be very difficult for Rudy to drive me away. It's going to be very difficult for him to elevate me. I have his heels more or less touching his butt here. If I can get your heels to touch your butt, it takes away a lot of your strength. Out here, it's pretty easy for Rudy to straighten out his leg and drive my arm away. If I can get his heels all the way to his butt, he's probably going to move his own head away before he'll be able to move my arm. Okay? So I'm using my weight to drive his heels to my butt, to his butt. My hips are driving in super close, and I'm staying nice and low. My elbows are down by his hips. If I can keep my hands locked under his back, I will. The first thing I'm going to look to do is sprawl one of my legs. I'm going to bring it to the side, and now instead of Rudy having one foot on inside each of my thighs, I've taken one of his shins and put it across my belly. Okay? So he had been hanging out where one leg was on inside of each of my thighs. When I sprawl and replace my knee, now his foot is by my hip and his knee is by my hip. So I'm in super tight. I sprawl and I use my knee to gather his foot up to his hip. Okay, or his heel to his butt. I'm going to high leg with this left foot so that I can get my knee outside of his knee. I want his knee to slide behind my hamstring. So I high leg and I get my knee in front of his knee. My knee is going to go to the floor, and I'm using my legs to thigh master his leg together so that I can control his hips. It looks like I'm in half guard. When you're in this position, the outside person is going to think, oh, they're in half guard. What are we going to do from this half guard position? I'm not in half guard. All I need to do now is tip my left shoulder down and put my weight onto my left shoulder and my left knee, and I can kick this right leg back. The right leg will go back by my left leg to drive his hips away, and I can start to work to climb my way up to side control. So one more time, I make sure that I get lower than Rudy so I can put him flat on his back. I get my head lower than him, I drive in, I use my head to drive him flat on his back, and I want my arms beneath his back so that my elbows can stay nice and tight, controlling his hips. I drive his heels all the way up to his butt. I'm going to sprawl one leg back so that I can move it to the opposite side, and I can put both of my legs controlling one of his legs. I'm going to high leg so that my knee can go over his knee, and I'm going to drive my knee to the floor right by his hip. Now I can sprawl my left leg back, and I'm going to use my right leg to push his hip away from me. My left leg goes back, my right leg pushes his hip away from me, and I replace my left knee where my right knee just was. And I'll keep the body lock during this entire time. My head came up to talk to you, but the whole time that I'm here, I keep my head as low as possible so he can't affect me. Okay? If my head starts coming up, he'll start to be able to frame on my face. He'll start to be able to push me away. He might push me towards his legs. He might even push me the other way and push my face this direction and then start shrimping. And that's really bad for you. So when I get here, I want to make sure that my head stays as low as possible so that I'm in good position. Because he's going to push on you. He's going to frame on you. And I don't want to be affected by those things. So I keep my head nice and low. I can always now pull this arm out and start to look for his head and sneak this arm up and look for that underhook. I'm going to switch floating rib to floating rib because I'm trying to make him tired. I don't want a fresh dude. So the next pass that I'm going to do is very, very similar. I'm going to start it all the same. I'm going to get nice and low, and I'm going to come inside his legs and inside of his arms, and my head's going to hit his chest. Okay, so sometimes my head will go first, and my arms might come second. Or sometimes I'll go in with one arm cautiously first, and I'll guide this knee or fight for wrists, or maybe I was up here and then I dropped in. But what's going to happen is my forehead is going to be a battering ram into his sternum, and it's going to drive him backwards. Okay? I get inside, my head drives him backwards. I lock up my hands if I can, okay? Because this really bothers people. Okay? They can't really relax. It can really affect people's lower backs if they have bad backs, okay? I'm trying to be nice about this to Rudy, and he's still struggling. If I start squeezing and driving the weight, this is a very uncomfortable position. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did last time, where I'm gonna bring my head forward just a little bit, and I'm gonna sprawl one leg back, so that now I can put both of his legs, or his leg on both of my legs. I'm gonna use my other hand to reach in between his legs, and I'm grabbing his ankle. When I grab his ankle, I want to put my finger right below, I forget what this bony nub on the side of your ankle is actually called, but I like to put my middle finger right behind it. So I reach behind your knee, and I like to put my, oh, it's on the inside actually, my index finger on the bony nub right on the inside, okay? So that when I wrap around, my finger ends up right on that little nub. So it's half of my grip is on your ankle, and half of my grip is actually on your foot. I smash him in nice and close. I reach in this hole, and I get a hold of his ankle. Now what I'm going to look to do is I'm going to put all of my weight on my left shoulder. I'm going to take my knees off the floor by putting my toes on the ground. And I'm going to start to walk, and all of my weight stays on this shoulder. So when I come forward, I get my knees off the floor, and my weight is all on that shoulder. It's not my head pushing, my arm isn't supporting me, I'm not posted on forehead and elbow, I am posted on my shoulder. And I'm going to begin to walk in a circle while I remain on that shoulder. So, I get into butterfly guard, I sprawled this leg back so that I can stuff that foot close. I reach behind his leg, I grab that ankle, I'm going to take my head and I'm going to put it on the same side as the arm is reaching, right? So if my right arm is grabbing his right foot, my head's going to go to the right side. I'm hugging him super tight around his hips. I get on my toes, my weight drives all the way into my floating rib, and I start to walk past his guard.
My right knee slides behind his right knee, and I'm in a good position to finish this pass. My chest is covering his hips right now. That means I'm almost completely past his guard. My left arm's gonna swim inside and get a hold of that head, and I'll hike my chest up, okay? And I'll switch my base up to by his head. It's a great way to explain it, right? Up to by his head, perfect.
Thanks for studying at Strangle School. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This time and every time, thank you for being here.